The third round of fixtures for the 2012 African Cup of Nations qualifiers is upon us, and the biggest clash sees Egypt travelling to South Africa to take on Bafana Bafana. Welcome to MTN Football Webcast. I'm your host, Brian Lee. Alongside I have Duane Dell'Oca. Duane, biggest clash of the weekend. Where do you see this one going?
Well, Brian, I think in terms of sayings, you've got to look to the cream eventually rises to the top to apply to this Egyptian side. Yes, they've been sliding down the FIFA rankings at the moment in no fewer than 30 places over the last couple of months. But this Egyptian side remains class, and they've got some players that can, on any given day, beat the best in the world. The likes of Mohamed Zidane back in the squad after the broken rib. He's still not 100%, so we're doubtful whether or not he's actually going to start against Bafana Bafana, but he can certainly provide an impact even if he doesn't start. They are missing, though, a couple of players, the Emad Motebs, the Amir Zakis, the big, important upfront players for Egypt over the past 3 or 4 years. But in terms of midfield and defence, Wael Gomar is there, Ahmed Fati is there, Said Mouad is there. Mohamed Abutrika is really going to be the key player. He's back from injury. He's a man that has the ball sticking to his feet like Velcro. Trying to dispossess him is nigh on impossible. Anybody who's played against him will tell you this man is quality, he's class, and this is why English clubs have been chasing him for no fewer than 6 or 7 seasons already. Everybody wants his services because he is genuinely world class. Can South Africa compete against that? Well, if Stephen Pienaar isn't going to be fit with his little injury niggle, it might be a bit of a problem. Ultimately, though, South Africa have the ability to beat Egypt. We've done it before, but then again, every time we've beaten Egypt, something has not quite gone Egypt's way. They've either been missing key and critical players, but when you come back to South Africa and their ability to score against Egypt, look at the players who've done it before. The players who've done it genuinely time and time again are players like Benny McCarthy. We don't have a player like that at the moment. But Katlego Mpela, this is a huge match for him, because if he can score against Egypt, this man's career could go from where it is at the moment to infinitely greater heights. And perhaps that overseas move will be on the cards come the end of the season. He scored against France in the World Cup. He'll be looking to build on that momentum at the moment, because he's not scored for South Africa in a while now. Also returning to the squad, having been left out of the friendly against Kenya following his little disagreement with Mamelodi Sundowns, his club. But he's come back and he's in fine form at the moment.
Talking about some of the key players for South Africa, Duane, the likes of Stephen Pienaar and Simpiwe Tshabalala, both with groin injury at the moment. But the team doctor has said that they will be ready for the match on Saturday. But you did talk about their striking force, the likes of Mpela, who will be starting probably. But what about the likes of David Soma? Can he come on? Can he make a difference for South Africa?
Yeah, David Soma can make a difference for South Africa. He's been scoring regularly for Leeds since the start of the year. He's been a very good goal scoring, Nick. And bear in mind, his last Bafana Bafana international, he scored 67 seconds into the match, despite the fact that it was against Kenya. He had some golden opportunities to score in that match, though. He really should have had a hat-trick against the side from Kenya. But he failed to take some of those opportunities. And I think you've got to look at that and say that he needs to find a little more composure in front of goal when playing for South Africa. He didn't have a great deal of support, though, from Bernard Parker, and that's been a little bit of a concern. Who's going to be the player who can partner him? If Pitso Mosimane is brave enough and wants to start with 2 attack-minded players, he would start with Mpela and, of course, David Soma.
Duane, one of the biggest talking points coming into this game has been the exclusion of Aaron Mokoena from the Bafana side. Now, you mentioned Bongani Khumalo, key player for South Africa. Who is going to partner him in defence and keep the likes of Abutrika quiet?
Well, Brian, the man that's taken Aaron Mokwena's place in the starting lineup over the last couple of games is Siyabonga Sangweni, the match against United States in November last year, the Nelson Mandela Challenge, and of course the match against Kenya. I'm not sure Siyabonga Sangweni is going to be the right player in that central defensive role. You'd like to see, though, Bongani Khumalo playing with a dirty player alongside him. He's a clean player. He's going to go in for the aerial challenges, but he's not going to play that dirty sweeper role that you need from a defensive line. That's Aaron Mokwena's role. That's the role that Aaron Mokoena, he gets stuck in, he does the dirty work, he does the hard slog, and he covers for anybody that should the likes of Khumalo miss out. I think yes, Sangweni can be that kind of player. Gould is the ideal choice, of course, with the mindset, with the cohesion unit that they formed at SuperSport United together.
Certainly, Dwayne Morgan Gould and Bongani Khumalo did form a formidable partnership at SuperSport United, which saw them win 3 league titles as well. But let's move to Egypt now. They're at the bottom of Group G. They've lost 1 game, they've drawn 1 game. Why are they struggling so much?
Brian, I think you've got to look at things realistically here. Over the last 5 years, many of these players have been playing for Al Ahly, who have made the final of just about every club competition, every cup competition. These guys, week in and week out, the Fatis, the Ahmed Hassan, who as a result of perhaps fatigue, is injured and won't make the trip to South Africa for this encounter. You're looking at the Wael Gomaz, the SM Al Khadris, even players that have moved on now in subsequent years to different clubs. They play week in and week out in club competitions across Africa, where there's a load of travel involved as well, all throughout Egypt in the league matches, the cup competitions. Then you add their national team duty to it. Many of these players, I've calculated over the last few years, we're averaging something between 62 and 64 matches a year. That means they're playing more than a game every single week. Now, you do that for 4 or 5 years on the trot. There are only a handful of players in the world that can handle that kind of frequency and intensity week in and week out.
Well, Duane, South Africa's coach Piet Somasaman knows Egypt are no easy side to beat, but he has all the confidence in the world that his players can do the job. Thanks for joining us here on MTN Football Webcast. I'm your host, Brian Lee.